What's up, guys? Welcome back. We are looking at Diablo 4 stuff today. So we're going to take a look at the Necromancer 4 build. We're calling this one the Death and Corpses build. It's one of the less popular builds out there, but Necromancers just do phenomenal at literally everything they do. They excel at just about anything you can put your points into. There's going to be 1,000 different builds for them. There's going to be a way to min-max stuff, but today we're just going to look at a few of these builds. Like I said, this one's going to be the Death and Corpses build. And we're basing this off of the last beta. So last beta, we were able to get level 25. This time on the May 12th beta, we're going to be able to get to level 20 only. So you might have to adjust some things on here. We're going to take the Army of the Dead approach, which may not be actually how it works out. We'll see what it is, but I got the talent calculators pulled up here. D4 Planner is probably the best talent calculator I've seen so far, just because you get all the different widgets. You get all your willpower points up here, and then you get your itemization if you want to add that. We're not going to look at any of that. We're just going to look at the build. So you have all your essence gatherers. So this one runs a little different. Most of the builds I've seen so far are running with bone splinters, and then dropping all their points into enhanced and typically initiates. We're not going to do that. We're going to actually go into a Reap starter. So you're going to be up close and personal a lot more. So Reap will probably be your best source of actual damage and essence gathering at this point. So, arguably any of the starters are good generators, but Reap's a good one for this one. You can put a few points into maybe Bone Splinters if you do need some range, but we're going to go about 2 into Reap. So that you can go into Enhanced Reap. I just do 2 Reap right there. Once you get down to your main range attack, we're going to go into Bone Spear. Again, almost every build I've seen does Bone Spear. So we're going to put 3 points into Bone Spear, and then probably Enhanced, and you have Paranormal and Supernatural Bone Spear here. Supernatural is the way to go. It causes vulnerability for 3 seconds. A lot of abilities and classes will do that, but that's huge. 3 seconds is a lot of time to get a lot of your spells back in there. And looking at Reap too, like you can go into that. You can put 1 into Enhanced Reap, and then if you were to do it, you're never, like, Initiate Reap, you're never going to really use. It does not work on bosses, so it instantly kills targets of 5% life. Most of the time, if a target's at 5%, you're gonna get it down anyway. So you can go into Acolyte's Reap, and that'll give you a second one. That's something we might drop for this next beta coming out, because you can only reach level 20. So Reap a corpse under the first hit can only occur every 5 seconds. So we will be playing around with some corpse building here as well. But so you have the Bone Spear ones. Now, before you go down to the next tree for Macabres, you're gonna want to pick up these 3 Hewed Flesh. So, lucky hit, your damage has up to 4% chance to create a new corpse at the target location, and it's doubled against bosses. So that's huge. 12% with more corpses just spawning on top of, especially world bosses, is going to be big. If you're not in a group, if you don't have a lot of ads coming at you, that's 12% on hit. You're going to be casting a lot of damaging spells, and with Reaping, you're going to be up close. So there's always an opportunity to generate more corpses. So that's pretty big for Hewed Flesh. We're going to come down here, and because this is a corpse build, we're gonna go Corpse Explosion. So they did nerf Corpse Explosion for this beta. I don't know how much they nerfed that. This is going off of the previous beta's percentages, because we don't know what it's going to be like on May 12th, but I would assume it's still going to be good. Even like Blizzard would have to do something phenomenal, like go to 30% damage for Corpse Explosion. So for this one, we're going to take 3 into Corpse Explosion. They'll deal 90%, so that's almost 100% chance. You don't need more than that. If you're running all the way up to 100, level 100, then you can take Corpse Explosion, but or you can max it out. For now, we're just going to do 3. We're going to go Enhanced, so increases radius by 15%. Again, huge. You're going to be using a lot of that. And then your choices are Blighted Corpse Explosion, or you're going to go to the Plagued Corpse Explosion. So Plagued Corpse Explosion deals 10% increased damage to enemies that are slowed, stunned, or vulnerable. These damages bonuses can stack. We're going to go there. The reason for that is you'll have a lot more vulnerability with Bone Spear that you're going to be starting off with. So the main strategy would be to start with your Bone Spear, get some corpses going. Don't pop the first one you have, but just get some vulnerability with Bone Spear. And then if enemies get too close to you, you reap them, get your essence generator there, then you start Corpse Explosioning, and with them being vulnerable, that's your window to pop as many as you can. So that's always a good thing to do. Before we go down to your Corruption, we're also going to take 1 point in Grim Harvest. So that will that allows you to consume a corpse to generate 3 essence. It's just that buffer for your generator, which is what you're really looking for. Again, if you're going to level 100, you can put more points into Grim Harvest. But we do want that, and then we want to put 3 points into Fueled by Death. So you deal 12% increased damage for 4 seconds after consuming a corpse. This is probably the area where I would drop for the next beta. So when you can only reach level 20, you probably want to drop Fueled by Death and a point in Reap and Enhanced Reap, or you can drop. I mean, there's nothing else that I'd really drop yet. Maybe the Plague Corp Explosion, but so drop these 3 for the next beta. You won't need them. They're just nice to have if you're going with the Corpse Explosion build in general. It's good to keep that in mind. So coming down here to Corpse Tendrils, we're going to skip Corruption and put 1 point straight into Corpse Tendrils. So Veins burst out of a corpse, pulling in enemies, stunning them for 3 seconds, and dealing 20% damage to them. It does not consume the corpse. Again, super big. Anything that does not consume a corpse is something you are wanting to look at. Lucky hit chance 20%, cooldown to 11 seconds. A little long of a cooldown, but it's worth it for sure. So this will also play off of stunning them. So again, if you have... where was it? So again, Plagued Corpse Explosion, it deals increased damage to enemies that are slowed, stunned, or vulnerable. So the fact that it can stun them for 3 seconds, again, that just increases your window to do more damage at the end of the day. Now we are going to put 1 point into Enhanced. So enemies who are in range of Corpse Tendrils are slowed by 50% before being pulled. Again, so before they're coming into you, if they're going to be slowed, that'll give you the opportunity to cast 1 Reap, generate some essence, and then back away from it. That's going to be big for you guys. And then we have Plagued Corpse Tendrils or Blighted Corpse Tendrils. Again, we're going to go the Plagued route. So enemies damaged by Corpse Tendrils are made vulnerable for 3 seconds. We're instant repeat, guys. Vulnerability, stunning, everything leads back up to more damage with Blighted Corpse Explosion. So this is a personal preference of mine. I don't really like going with any diseases or plagues. Iron Maiden, Decrepify. We're not going to want any Skeletal Masteries. I don't really see a lot of need for going to Corruption unless you're running that build. Generally, even in Diablo 2, I didn't really run Curse Necromancers very much. There's certainly a place for them. We'll go over a build eventually when going Curse heavy, but for the most of my builds on Necros, we're gonna skip Corruption 3 altogether. There's nothing worth really putting points in. Like amplified damage is kind of nice, but then you have to run a curse anyway, so probably Decrepify if I was going to add this in. Again, at level 100, Decrepify, that way it'll slow some, stun them. You get an Amplify Curse, so I would run probably like 3 points in that, go that route, and then put 3 in Amplify damage, but we're not going to do that for this beta. You can certainly try anything and run it that way, and we're just not going to. So lastly, we're going to come down here to our final tree, the ultimate, and we're going to go Army of the Dead. So, go figure. I feel like a lot of Necromancers did this last time, but Army of the Dead calls forth the deep buried dead. Volatile skeletons emerge over the next 7 seconds to explode around enemies, dealing 30% damage. With that, we're going to do Prime Army of the Dead. When Army of the Dead's volatile skeletons explode, they have a 15% chance to leave behind a corpse. And lastly, Supreme Army of the Dead. So Army of the Dead also raises your skeletal warriors and skeletal mages. Again, super big, super big. So that puts us at 26 points, right? So in this next beta coming up, I would probably drop Fueled by Death. And you're gonna have to at least drop some of your armies to get there. So I just put those back in. Bam, bam, bam. You're gonna run without that because you just can't get to the ultimate tree at level 20. But you can get to your summoning tree. So you can even put 1 point into Fueled by Death, because you will get the additional point from the questing that you do. So that's where your extra number comes from. Let's just say you can't get to 25. Let's say you're working your way up. Once you get to 25, you would put those 2 points back and then add Army of the Dead and Ultimate and Supreme. So, but for the sake of this next beta, we're going to stop here. That will be your 21 points. Now with Book of the Dead. So as a corpse necro, you're not going to worry about you won't worry about defense. You'll be running away a lot. I would go a Reaper build. It's nice to have, again, I'm a little biased here. Maybe it's a little different from some corpse builds, but I am going to run some minions. So I like Reapers. Deals an area with a slow and powerful slice that has a special wind-up ability, dealing heavy damage. And then you want the middle tier. So Reapers have a 10% chance to carve the flesh of enemies, forming a corpse. This cannot happen on the same enemy every more than 5 seconds. So again, it's just a way to generate more corpses. That's kind of the whole name of the game. Once you have Army of the Dead down here, and get the Supreme to raise your warriors back, that'll be big for you guys. Again, the wind-up's okay. You can choose to not run a summon team with this build, but for this time we are. Again, it's all experimenting, it's beta, we're going to learn a lot. And then for Bone Mages, so for Bone Mages, we're going to want to do the second upgrade as well. So Bone Mages uses own bones as projectiles, dealing heavy damage for a life cost, and then each time a Bone Mage dies from its own attack, they leave behind a corpse and fortify you for the number that it was killed by. So again, they can damage themselves. There is a life cost. It's a little bit of give and take, but if you lose the Bone Mage, it generates a corpse. What that means is you can just raise another Skeleton Mage, or you can corpse explode that for big damage. So that's what we're going to run with that. Now let's talk about wind-up, or your actual rotation. The Death and Corpse build has a big focus on like inflicting status effects, so you want to make sure that at all times there is some status effect up on your enemies coming towards you, whether that be from Reap, whether that be from Bone Spear. You always want them to be affected by something, some slow. Your tendrils down here are a big one to use as well. So make sure they're always coming at you. So as long as enemies are coming at you, you can use a bone lance. I keep calling Bone Spear Bone Lance, whatever. Through as many possible enemies and make them vulnerable. So once they're vulnerable, they'll get close to you. Then that's when you hit them with a Reap. So at least it should at least form one corpse and gain damage reduction to wipe out any enemies within 2 seconds, and to gain like 30% attack speed, whatever it is right there. yeah, you gain 30% attack speed. After that, so once they're in melee range and you're reaping, that's when you pop corpse tendrils. So that's when you pop corpse tendrils. You draw everything in and inflict them with vulnerability, stun, and a slow. At this point, there should be a few corpses on the ground, and if not, you fire another bone lance and another reap, and then you rinse and repeat. So bone spear, reap, tendrils until you get corpses on the ground. From there, you cast a corpse explosion on literally every target. You want to build probably 4 or 5 mobs up before you actually do anything. It has no cooldown and costs no essence, so you just want to popping off. That's what a lot of people were doing in beta. They were just running strict corpse explosion builds, and then we're just going to annihilate bosses and enemies from there. So there should be enough corpse generating from your Skeletal Reapers and your other abilities that bosses won't be a problem with this build. Definitely with Army of the Dead, it will be better. So once you get to 25, you run that, and that's really what we're looking at for this build. It's pretty standard, other than the fact that I run both minions. Some people don't like that because it takes too many corpses to maintain that build. I don't mind it. It's more flavor of the week for me. I like minion builds. I don't like curse builds. Curses, again, you could honestly swap out tendrils altogether and then run a decrepify build with this. So if you put 1 point to decrepify, enhanced decrepify, and what was it, horrid? No, it was abhorrent decrepify. So reduce your cooldowns. But honestly, I think tendrils from playing it on the first beta is definitely worth the points it takes. So go into tendrils, go into play corpse tendrils, and that's the build we're running. So that'll get you to level 20. That should be good enough to kill the world bosses in the next phase. And hopefully Blizzard didn't nerf it too bad. So I mean, we're not going to know until the PTR date if Corpse Explosion actually got nerfed or not. But even if it did, like let's say it drops down to 75% damage, it's still going to be your highest damage build for large AoE attacks. So that's what we're running. Again, you can play around with all your indexes. You can play around with your character itemization if you want, but that's what I would run. And we're going to keep it there. So leave a comment and a like down below. Let me know what you're running in the next PTR. Again, playing to level 20 definitely is a difference. Make sure to get your wolf backpack in. Make sure to get all your premium signed up. So yeah, leave a like and subscribe if you're interested in more Diablo 4 content. I will catch you all on the next one.